everyone, my name is John Henegar. Welcome to my presentation. Today I will be evaluating the Terms of Service Agreement sections A through S for the popular website known as Priceline.com. The Terms of Service Agreement, also known as Terms and Conditions Agreement, is found on almost every website out there. The technical term for this agreement is the End User License Agreement and/or EULA. Sometimes this agreement is hidden, other times it is not. When it's not, it is usually placed in a conspicuous location so that users have no trouble finding it. The question, however, is what makes a valid contractual agreement binding between you and the website you're viewing. Some websites have in their agreements, whether you read them or not, that you agree to their terms and conditions simply because you're using their site. These types of agreements are generally known as browse wrap agreements. This simply means that because you browse their site, you automatically agree to their terms and conditions of use. Priceline.com has this type of agreement and simply says that if you do not agree, discontinue use immediately. These types of agreements generally won't stand up in court because the courts find them unfair to users. They don't feel that a user is provided with reasonable notice and/or the opportunity to read before acceptance. The best type of end-user license agreement is found in the form of a click-wrap agreement. These agreements are more common and taken more seriously in a court of law. This agreement has the terms of service in a conspicuous, easy-to-find place. Also, once you click on it, you have both the option to agree and/or disagree through visual buttons. The best type click-wrap agreements make you scroll to the end of the agreement before you can choose to agree or decline. These agreements also give you the chance to print or save a copy of terms and always pop up before any type of transaction is made. A click-wrap agreement is also more enforceable because it is considered to be a form of e-signing. In 2000, the federal government created the E-Sign Act that mandates a minimal level of enforceability. This helps protect the interest of all involved parties who agree to terms electronically. After evaluating the Priceline.com Terms and Conditions agreement, I conclude that their agreement won't hold up in court. Aside from being a browse wrap agreement, they hold the user responsible for any and all errors that may occur while taking absolutely no responsibility for themselves. In Section J, under indemnification, it reads, "You agree to defend and indemnify Priceline.com and the covered parties from and against any claims, causes of actions, demands, recoveries, losses, damages, fines, penalties, or other costs or expenses of any kind or nature, included but not limited to reasonable legal and accounting fees, brought 1. By you or on behalf of you in excess of the liability described above, or 2. By third parties as a result of your breach of this agreement, your violation of any law or the rights of a third party, or your use of this site in violation of this agreement." Throughout this agreement, they go on to say they are not liable for response times and warrant nothing that occurs even on the part of their servers. They do not discuss what is done with your information or what rights you have to it. However, they do say anything you post immediately becomes their property and can be used at any time without permission. I honestly feel that most of this agreement is unenforceable. First, as a user on their homepage, the terms and conditions link isn't conspicuous. It's all the way at the bottom and not viewable immediately. A court may say that due to this reason this agreement isn't valid. However, if a court does decide to hold this agreement valid, I don't think they will enforce most of the sections. I feel this way because they repeat over and over again that no matter what happens, they are not liable for anything, including the loss or theft of your information. They also state that they warrant nothing and that you are responsible to indemnify Priceline at the occurrence of any type of loss. Some sections are okay, but most of it's illogical and unfair. In a court of law, a server messing up and billing you wrong would be their fault. In this agreement, they say they are not liable even for their server's mistakes and hold you accountable. They also say they aren't liable or responsible for response times when getting back to you. Also, under the modification termination of usage section, they state that it is their sole discretion to revise the terms and conditions policy anytime they want, and that you're still bound to the agreement. Again, far from fair. I feel that this company put all these clauses in the agreement to protect themselves, but ultimately feel it's doing them more damage than anything. A judge will see that they use all caps in both the disclaimer of warranty section as well as the general limitation of liability section. This is not only unprofessional, but reinforces the concept that they take responsibility for nothing that happens on their site. If I were to revise this document, I would first shorten the agreement instead of repeating the same thing over and over again. I would also utilize standardized terminology and industry terms to better suit my audience. Once the agreement was shortened and revised, I would turn this into a click wrap agreement that made you scroll to the bottom before you could click on agree or decline. I will also add a couple of sections on how their information is stored and handled to make the user feel more protected. Lastly, I would put the terms and conditions agreement in a more conspicuous place on the homepage so that it is easily viewable. For any type of transaction, I would make sure that the user agreed to these terms and conditions by having this agreement pop up before being able to proceed. This protects the interest of both parties when entering into this agreement. Currently, I feel that the browse wrap agreement that's in place is not only unfair, but also unrealistic. I strongly recommend changes for this site be made before they damage your reputation because of unprofessionalism. Thank you for listening.